Hello, in this video I'm going to show you a proof for the trig identity sine of x over cosine of x is tan of x. Now if this video is useful, please do go over to my channel where I have loads of other maths tutorials, and I'll also link my website in the video description so you can go over there and navigate through all of my videos in one place. So let's start off with a circle, and to this circle I'm going to add on a radius like this, and I'm going to say the length of this radius is r, so I can annotate it like so. So this point here where this radius touches the circumference, I'm going to give it the coordinates x and y like so. And from this point I'm going to draw a perpendicular line to the x-axis going straight down like this, and I can annotate that this is perpendicular like so. So hopefully you can see I've now constructed a right angled triangle, and I could say that this angle here between the radius and the positive x-axis is an angle we'll call theta. And using this as my given angle, I've now created an opposite side to this right angled triangle and an adjacent side. So what would be the length of this opposite side here? Well, that's just the height of this right angled triangle. And hopefully you can see the height of this right angled triangle is given by the y coordinate here, which we've called y. And so the height of this right angled triangle and the length of the opposite side is just going to be y. Using the same logic, we could say, well, what's the length of the base? Well, that's just how far across the triangle's gone, and this is given by the x coordinate, and so this length here is x. Now if we think about trig, what would sine of the angle be? So what would sine of theta be equal to? Well, that's my opposite side, which we've labelled as y, divided by the hypotenuse, which we've called r, because it's the radius of our right angled triangle. And what about cosine of the angle? What's cosine of theta? Well, that's the adjacent side, which we've called x, divided by the hypotenuse, which again has length r. Now on both of these equations I'm going to multiply both sides by r, and so the equation on the left hand side is going to turn into r sine of theta equals y, and the equation on the right is going to become r cosine of theta equals x. Now what would tan of the angle be? What would be tan of theta? So let's write this down. Tan of theta is equal to the opposite side, which we've called y, over the adjacent, which we've called x. And could I rewrite this in any way? Well, we said y was just equal to r sine theta, and we said that x was equal to r cosine theta. So let's replace y and x with these things. So tan of theta is equal to y, which is r sine theta, divided by x, which is r cosine theta. And hopefully you can see these r's are now going to cancel out with each other, and we end up with sine of theta over cosine of theta. And so this is our trig identity, which says that tan of theta is exactly the same as sine of theta over cos of theta. Now notice this is an identity, not just an equation, and so what an identity means, it is true for any value of theta that you input. So regardless of the value theta, if you input it, this will always hold and it will always be true. Now this differs from an equation because with an equation it may only be true for one specific value, okay? But with our identities it's true for any value you input. And this is going to be really helpful to us when it comes to solving trig equations a bit later on. So hopefully this video was useful. If it was, please do go over to my channel where you can see loads of other maths tutorials, and you can also go over to my website, which I'll link in the video description, where you can navigate through all of my maths videos in one place, and I think they're a bit easier to find than they are through looking on YouTube. Thanks for watching.